I need something more. I need challenge. I need to grow because I like growing. I like growing, and it needs to be fast because otherwise I'm bored. I need to come across people that are doing more than I do. I met those guys who were doing like 200, 300, all the way up to 1,000 transactions a year. Everything exploded, and I did 65 wholesaling last year and 20 flips,
Wow.
so it's 85 transactions. Honestly, I can do more. Who's doing wholesaling? Nobody? Well, let me just take over Montreal. That's it. Boom.
Hello, and welcome back to the Very Real Estate Effect podcast, a show dedicated to real estate investing right here in Quebec. How's it going, Dino?
Hey guys, I'm good. I'm very good. Once again, right before the podcast, left the notary's office to sign a deal and another flip that we're going to start the 1st of March. I really love doing these shows. Always followed by a notary.
I know, like we've had quite a few recordings where like right before, right after, you and I either have an accepted offer or a notary, or it's good because, we're active.
Very excited for this show with our guest today.
I know, me too. And talking about active, like I don't think we could have someone that's more active. So Olivier, today on the show, we have Olivier Lepage. Olivier, welcome to the show, man.
Hey guys, awesome. Look at Dino bragging here. Just came back from a notary.
I love it.
I know how it is.
It is exciting. So for those who have been like stuck under a rock for the last 5 years, Olivier Lepage is Montreal's best, most well-known wholesaler, and we'll get into like what the hell is wholesale. But before I actually get to ask you that question, Olivier, like first of all, like how in the world did you ever get involved in real estate investing?
Oh, that's a good point. I just actually stumbled upon real estate investing just because when I was younger, I actually was not into real estate at all. I was into cinema, communication, journalism, and all that stuff, and it had nothing to do, but I didn't like it. So with my girlfriend back then, we traveled to Australia just for fun and pleasure working there. We came back a year later, and I always had in my mind, like, those infomercial at night, like, hey, buy real estate for $0. I always had this in my mind, and I don't know why, but I was curious about it. So true story, open up the journal, and I saw this little ad. It was said like, hey, buy real estate for $0 down. I was like, yeah, that's me. Okay, so I called the number, and it was a shady guy in the shady office. Like, he was proposing me deal. Like, hey, you want to buy this deal? You want to buy this deal? You're gonna get out of the notary's office with money. I was like, oh well. I mean, what do I have to lose? I mean, I have to buy real estate. So I did the move. I bought a duplex in Granby, which I still own today because it was a really shitty deal. So so I had to hold on it to minimize the effect that it was a shitty deal. I mean, it was on a corner of crack house and homeless. So it was I learned a ton of lesson though. So that's a good part about it. I mean, I learned to deal with tenant, convict, homeless, crackhead. So I had the whole schmeal. And but I didn't stop there. And the guy told me like, oh, you should buy like once a year. And, after 10, 15 years, you're going to have a nice portfolio. I was like, no, man, I want to buy like 4 or 5, 10. I mean, I want to buy a chunk of them like right now. He's like, no, don't be too ambitious. But I still had this into my mind. So I was also looking for a job, obviously, and related to this. So then I would have competence, and I would, stack up skills to build something into real estate. So I started doing renovation, and I learned everything about construction. I didn't like it though, because my knees started hurting, and I'm not shaped to doing work, and it's definitely not my best skills. So I did it for a year. It was a really good school because I learned everything: structure, electricity, plumbing. ceramic, whatever, name it, roofing, plumbing. So I know how it works. I know what to do. It's just I don't like doing it. So that was a good school again, and made a little bit of money. And then I decided to jump into real estate by becoming a real estate agent.
Okay, so that was your next move.
Yeah, so I got my license. Went into real estate. Started being a broker. Didn't like it either. So I wanted to do the shift as fast as possible into real estate investing. So I started flipping, basically. I created a website. I was the only one back then. It was like 12 years ago. I created my website because I went into, it was a conference. I can't remember the name though, but it was like a free conference, one of those free conferences that they sell you, a high ticket coaching afterward.
Exactly.
But I had this light bulb though in the conference that was like, oh my God, like nobody catches, nobody catches the deal here. Like there's no competition. Nobody's exploiting that. So I was like, okay, let me create a website. Let me start with this. So I did that website, which was We Buy Houses Montreal, which I still own. And I had no competition. So deals were coming in. I was doing first year, maybe 4 or 5 deals flipping. Then the next year, a little bit more, 8, 9. Then the year after, a little bit more, 13, 14. And then it started being a hassle because I was still a real estate agent. And, the board of real estate agent, they don't like you flipping and they don't like you buying your own house and selling your own house. I didn't care. I was doing it that way. So until the point where I was listing houses and I was guaranteeing to the seller that I was buying the house if ever the house wouldn't sell on the market. Okay. And I was one of the first doing this. I remember, there was other real estate agent doing it back then, but it was like really local. But nowadays everybody's doing it. So I promised the guys, obviously there's a ton of condition. He has to buy back with me. It has to be clear. Clean, and we have to have access to the house and all those bunch of condition. And the guy, he didn't respect the condition, although he made a complaint against me because the house didn't sell and I didn't want to buy it because he didn't respect the condition. But he made a complaint against the board of real estate agent, and it put me into trouble because obviously, in their eyes, the board, I was guilty. I started to take a step back. So, I confronted them and they were like, well, we're going to give you a fine and we're going to suspend your license for 3 months. And I was like, boom, this is my opportunity.
Great news. You're forcing me out.
Yeah, well, exactly. So I was like, well, get your, keep your license. I'm going to try for a year, just flipping. And we'll see, if it works, I'm not going to renew my license. If it doesn't work, I can always go back then. So not burning the boat, but almost there. Yeah. And then it went well. I went all the way to 15 flip. Didn't do renovation in all, obviously, but I did 15 flip that year. And I was like, that's it. I'm putting all my egg in the same basket. Yeah. And I started doing more and more deals. And 2016 came upon, and I divorced. I got the government against me for income tax, and I got a lawsuit altogether in 6 months span. So I lost everything. And well, long story short, I almost lost my own house then. So obviously I knew better. So I sold it fast, a little bit less than what it's worth, but I didn't want to lose it. So I sold my house, moved into an apartment. I was like, I'm gonna, start low. As lean as possible, as frugal as possible, so then I can save, more and more money to put into my business and to make more deals. So that was my philosophy. It's now 6, 7 years ago. And so then I reimbursed everything. I almost went bankrupt. Honestly, a lot of people told me like you should go bankrupt, like you owe more than $100,000. I was like, it's a question of pride. I don't want to, go bankrupt.
You want to save your name.
Exactly. And I want to pay all my debt and it's going to work. So I started flipping again, and I stumbled upon a wholesaling, which I didn't know what it was because it was still obscure. Even today, like a lot of people don't know what it is. But I stumbled upon wholesaling and I was like, well, it makes sense because like it's almost the same as flipping, but you get a little bit less money because obviously you get less risk, but you get your money faster. So I was in need of money. So I was like, get me that money fast because I need to, pay that debt. So I was like, okay, let's start trying to do wholesaling. So I was still doing like between 15 and 20 flips a year. Plus I was wholesaling, and I created kind of like a coaching program where I was partnering with other people that didn't know anything about flipping. Because obviously at the bottom of the barrel, I was like, what do I have left? I have no money, I have nothing, but I have a bunch of skills and I'm good at it. So let me just coach a bunch of people and tell them what to do, help them. And in exchange, they're gonna, go ahead and try to find deals and then get back to me with the deal, and we're gonna close on it and split the money. And it worked super well, but it was super time consuming. So it worked up until a certain point where I was like, okay, well, like there's too many people and I can't give them a good service. So I was like, let me just lean down to less people.
And that's in the coaching business that you started, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was back in 2017, 18. And it was working well, even more than what I thought, but it was too much for me. I don't think I'm that good of a teacher. And I wasn't giving them the service that they deserve because I had no time. I was spread out thin everywhere. I was like, let me just lean down to less people. So then the year after I did it with 2017 I had 19 people, and 2018 I was coaching only 5 people, but I was still doing the same amount of deals. So I was like, well, let me just next step. Let me try to skip the coaching part because now I was getting momentum, and I was like, okay, I can get the same amount of deals with employee instead of partnership, so then I can build a business, so then I can get more money. That's the only point.
More of an action guy.
I'm an action guy. I'm an action guy. I'm always into action. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Exactly. That's it. Action. But the bad side about it is I don't take time to reflect, though. When you're into action, you don't think about what you should do. So, but the good thing is you're doing a lot of action, so things are moving.
But that's why you need a partner that him or her is gonna take the time to reflect.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. That's exactly what I have now. But I started, juggling with hiring people, having partnership and all that stuff. I was juggling with what's the best, what suits me well. And 2019, I was kind of like not bored, but like I was always doing the same thing. And I was like, I need something more. I need challenge. I need to grow because I like growing. I like growing, and it needs to be fast because otherwise I'm bored. So I was like, okay, let me Google an event in the States like that talks about flipping. So I go on Google, like flipping houses conference and stuff like this. So I stumble upon a conference that was like in January, and it was right after Christmas. So it was like, I think 2 or 3 weeks after. So I was like, let me do this because I need a challenge. I need to come across people that are doing more than I do. Because I was still in Montreal doing maybe 20, 25 flip, and people were looking at me like I was big. And I was like, well, I'm just starting. So I don't think it is big because I'm sure I can do more than that. So I went into the States, and oh my God, I felt so small in my short. Yeah, I was like that little guy from Montreal doing 25 flip a year. And I met those guys who were doing like 200, 300, all the way up to 1,000 transaction a year. It's just insane. I couldn't even conceive that was possible. In my mind, I was like, it's impossible. Like, how can you do that? And I was like, okay, well, this is exactly what I want. I want to be next to those guys so then they can teach me how they do this. Like, how is it possible? So then I took a year coaching. I went back in the States 6 times. And it totally changed my point of view, totally changed the business and everything. They taught me like, okay, you have to, have to hire someone for this. This is the structure. This is how we have to do it. This is the process. You need to work on this, and that. I was like, wow, I'm blown away. And then COVID happened, 2020. So then the stars, they all aligned together. Boom, I was like ready. I had all the information. Real estate exploded. And I started hiring one good guy, two, three, four, and boom, it all came together. Another good partner from Toronto, and everything exploded. And I did a 65 wholesaling last year and 20 flips,
Wow.
so it's 85 transaction. So and honestly, I can do more. Like, I don't even feel I've done that much. Obviously, I'm working a lot, but I'm working
Mhm.
mostly on the business right now. So I totally changed my role. I'm not into the flip. I'm not into wholesaling. I'm just managing people. So it's a totally different thing. But I like it because it's growing and I'm barely scratching the surface because I see those guys doing 3, 4, 500 deals and they have so many competition. It's insane over there.
Yeah.
Totally insane. And I come back in Montreal and I'm like who's doing wholesaling? Nobody. Well, let me just take over Montreal. That's it. Boom.
Yeah. And you're right, no one's doing it here, and I wouldn't even call them competition, but like there's a few bird dogs like once in a while that try to
Well,
flip
people
a
are
payout and
doing it.
stuff,
Yeah,
but that's
like,
nothing.
well, some people are doing it, but let's say like 10, 15, maybe 20 a year.
Mhm.
So it is good and they can make a lot of money with this. I just got a different philosophy. Like I want to build a business because I see all those people that are doing like, I don't know, they're not doing it ethically. There's no structure. So there's nothing over there. So I was like, let me bring a structure. Let me bring like a frame so people can work at that frame. So then we can avoid being scammed. We can avoid, working with bad people because we can work in a frame.
Yeah.
And then buyers can have the confidence, seller can have the confidence, and everything works well in that frame. So that's exactly what I'm trying to bring.
Mhm. And that
Are you working
business,
on your business?
Yeah, I'm working on the business, a little bit in
Not
the
in the
business. I
business.
still have that hustle in me that likes to, talk with sellers and buyers, but I'm trying to remove myself as much as possible from working in the business.
and it can only work if, as you said, like you put a lot of systems and processes in place and you're able to delegate the task and break them down. Can you kind of just like walk us through, like over the last 2 years, you've had huge growth. Like what does
Mhm.
your team look like now and kind of who does what?
That's a really good point, and to re-say exactly what you're saying. To scale a business, you have to leverage system and people with no, you have to leverage technology and people by putting process and system. That's how you scale a business. And right now, obviously, I put now we're working with the CRM. We're working with all those apps that do integration from the website to the CRM. And we have one lead manager that works to consistently bringing lead. So she's working on marketing, basically web marketing, mailing marketing, Facebook, Instagram, direct mail. What else? I think that's what we were exploiting as channel. And so she's doing marketing with all those channels, and she's making sure that leads are coming in every day. And when leads come in, she qualifies the lead. Basically, we obviously have a qualification that is pretty tight, because if we buy, renovate, and sell, or just buy and sell, we need to have a certain margin. And right now, since the market is hot, it's a 20% margin. So we have to buy 80% of the market value or lower. And now a lot of people are telling me, like, who wants to sell their house at 80% of market value? That's a really good question. And it's pretty easy. It's exactly the same philosophy as a store who's doing a clearance about, some product or anything. They just want to get rid of it. They have this product that's stuck there and they can't sell it. So they just ask someone or they just put it on sale. And it's the same thing with people. They have a situation that they need to sell their house fast, or it's just a decision, or they don't want to deal with the real estate agent. They don't want to deal with a bunch of visits, with a bunch of offers, because of X and Y reason. There's so many reasons. Honestly, I wish I could tell you some, but there's so many. Could be divorce, could be like their houses are ugly, could be inheritance, could be so many different things just because they don't want to have visit.
Yeah.
And they want to deal with a buyer. They want to have direct sell with a buyer and boom, that's it. They don't want to have a third party. So they call us, they get into the funnel, then the lead manager calls them, or they call and the lead manager answer. And so the lead manager answers them and they qualify them. So, and if they're qualified with me, which means they want to sell 80% or lower, and they're realistic about the evaluation of their house, obviously, then she books an appointment with my acquisition manager. My acquisition manager is the guy who works with the seller directly. He goes inside the house. He does an evaluation of the house. He evaluates market value, renovation, and he talks with people and he's telling them all the process, exactly how we work. And obviously tells them we're not buying market value, but the upside is you don't have 35 visits. It's if you sign at the bottom of the offer, it's done. You choose whenever you want to sell. So that's an easy process for them. And people that want easy, they like it. And there's about maybe 0.5% of people, 1 to 0.5% of people out of 160,000 transactions. So if you do the math, that's a shit ton of transaction. It's maybe 2,000-3,000. So think about it, 2,000-3,000. I've done 65, 85. Like there's room for a lot more. So that's why I'm telling you that there's a way more transaction to be done. And then the rest of the process is, they accept the offer. There's a second visit condition because I want to see the house, obviously, because I'm the one paying, so I want to see the house. And I just want to double check with my acquisition manager calculate, because obviously I've done this for 12 years and I visited thousands and thousands of houses, so I know pretty fast if it's a good deal or not. So I do the second visit. I tour the house. If I have someone interested in buying my offer, I just invite him at the same visit, at the second visit. So they see the house at the same time as me. I just double check the numbers. If the renovations are good, the evaluation is good, then fair enough. I put it on my website. I put it on a different platform to let people know, buyers know that, hey, I have this offer on this house. It's under market value. It's a good opportunity to flip. Does anybody want to flip that house? Because I have too many. I can't flip 85 houses. It's just insane.
Thank you so much, Olivier, for participating today. To everyone listening, as usual, please share this episode. I know it's going to be impactful for a lot of people out there. So think of 3 friends who are interested in doing their first flip or their wholesale, and send it to them. Leave us some comments, send us some feedback, subscribe to the show. And of course, tune in next week for another episode. Thank you so much and talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.